Okay, so you'll need the project that you're going to add the cables to. This is a wrist warmer that I knit up using my Sentro knitting machine. I cast on 30 stitches and I knit 30 rows. Both ends are still on waste yarn. So the first thing you need to do is decide where you want the cable to be and how big you want it to be. I'm going to start mine 4 stitches in from the edge. And I want my cable to be 6 stitches wide, but I'm going to add a purl stitch on either side just to make the cable pop. So all in all I need 8 stitches. So I'm just going to take some waste yarn on a needle, something in a different colour, and I'm going to pick up the 8 stitches. And to remove the original waste yarn, I'm just going to pull it up and cut it, and then pull it out. And then we've got my top section is in 3 sections now, and the middle one is going to be where my cable is. So we're going to start by creating the purl stitches on either side. So I'm going to release 1 stitch and unpick it all the way down. I like to start with the fabric facing me, but then turn it over when I get near the bottom. We are going to be working on the back side of the fabric. So you're going to need to grab your crochet hook, and when we get all the way at the bottom, you want to place your crochet hook in the bottom stitch, and then we're just going to loop our way back up to the top. So put your crochet hook under each bar that you've got of yarn and just pull it through the loops, and then just work your way all the way up to the top. And then when you get to the top, you're going to pop it on the purple waste yarn. So that's one side all done. Because I did this on the back side of the fabric, when we turn it around, it's created purl stitches on the front. So you can see when I turn this back over and give it a few pulls back and forth just to stretch out the stitches, we now have a column of purl stitches. So now we just need to do the same on the other side of the cable. So we're going to unloop this stitch at the top and unpick the column all the way down. Then from the back side, we're going to loop your way back up to the top and secure the stitch with waste yarn. Okay, so now we've got the section where we want to create our cable. So we first want to start by installing a lifeline. So I'm just gonna take the waste yarn out of the top and pop it onto a darning needle. And because it's going to be 6 cables long, that means every 6 rows we're going to have to do a cross. So the first 5 rows are just going to be knit rows. So to save me doing those again, I'm going to count up 5 stitches and pop the lifeline up there. So 3, 4, 5. So that's row 5. So I'm going to pop my lifeline in here. So I'm just going to pick up the left leg of every stitch, So just make sure that I've got 6 on the needle there, that I've picked up 1 for every stitch. And then I've installed my lifeline. So that's going to save me having to knit those 5 rows again. So then I'm just going to pull out every row of yarn here, pulling out all of the stitches until I get to my lifeline. So now what we want to do is you want to single out one strip of yarn and hook the rest of them out of the way. I'm just using a little hair clip here just to keep them all together and out of the way, stop me getting confused. So this is the line of thread that I'm going to use to knit the next row. And you can use a knit needle to do this, but I'm going to use a knooking hook, which is just a crochet hook with a hole in the end. I will show you how to do this with a regular crochet hook, just in case you don't have a knooking hook. And as this is a cable row, we're going to start on the final 3. So skip 3 stitches, and then we're going to pop our crochet hook in, yarn over, and pull through, leave it on the hook, then pop your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, same with the 3rd stitch, pop your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then we need to go back and do the stitches that we missed. So I'm just going to position them in the right place, and then it's the same thing. So I'm going to pop my hook through the stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then the final stitch, yarn over and pull through. So just to make sure that we're using all of the yarn, that we keep the gauge the same, we just want to give each stitch a little pull, just to make sure that each stitch is the same size. Pull the hook up, give it a little wiggle, make sure all of the loops are about the same width. Then you're ready to remove your lifeline. And using the hole on the end of the knooking hook, we're just going to pop the yarn in there. And then we're going to slide the stitches off the knooking hook onto the yarn. So then they're on their own lifeline now. And then that's one row complete. So that's the crossover, our first crossover cable is complete. So then we move on to the next one. So I'm just going to remove the clip, get my next strand of yarn, clip the rest out of the way, and then using that yarn I'm going to nook the next row. So just pop my crochet hook in there, yarn over and pull through. Let me just zoom in so you can see. So we go through the stitch, yarn over and pull through. So it's very much just like a crocheted slip stitch for anyone who does know how to crochet, but it does actually create a knit stitch, which is very cool. So I'm just going to do all 6. Don't worry about your tension here, just do it as comfortable as long as you've got enough yarn to make all 6 stitches. And then we're just going to give that final stitch a tug, make sure the yarn is distributed throughout all of the loops. Then we're going to remove that lifeline, pop it into the back of the crochet hook and slide the stitches off. Okay. So that was our first non-cable yarn. I like to mark these. So that's number 1. We're going to do 5 in total. So I'll show you this again. So you just want to remove the next strand, make sure you're taking them in order, clip the rest out of the way, and then that's going to be your working yarn to work the next row. So again, we're just going to pop our hook through the stitch, yarn over and pull through. Once you get the hang of it, it really is quite quick. and especially when you accompany this technique with the Sentro knitting machine, you can start making cabled sweaters and, well, cabled anything in such quick time. So again, just really make sure that that yarn is distributed all the way through. And slide it off onto the Lifeline. And that was row number 2. Like I said, you're just going to continue that for 5 rows in total, because our cable is 6 cables wide, so every 6th row we're going to do a cross. So now it's time to do the cross again. So grab your next thread, and skip the first 3. And we're going to knit the second set of 3 first. And then we move the ones that we skipped into place, and then we knit those. Sometimes it can be a little bit awkward, but just make sure that you do 6, and you're keeping count. And remember to distribute the yarn equally throughout all the stitches. And there we go, that's our second cross. And now we just pop those onto the hook, and then we do 5 more normal rows. So I did show you how you could do this if you don't have a nook. So I've just got a normal crochet hook here. So I'm going to grab my next thread of yarn, and I'm just going to nook as I did before. So pushing the crochet hook through each stitch, yarn over and pull through, leaving all the stitches on the hook as you go. Okay, so we've knit all 6 there. Again, distribute that yarn, make sure all the stitches are the right size, and we're ready to remove the Lifeline. So every step's just the same as it was before, but as we don't have a hole on the back of this crochet hook, what you want to do is you just want to grab a darning needle, pop your Lifeline on there, and then we're just going to pull the hook up and slide the darning needle underneath the hook. It might be better to use a smaller crochet hook than your gauge if you have one, just so you have space to get the needle through. Then once they're on the Lifeline, you can remove the crochet hook. So there you go, that's how you can create afterthought cable designs on any knitted project with either a crochet hook or a nooking hook if you do have one. I will pop a link in the description of where I got mine from. And this is the finished product. So I just cast off both sides once I was done and knit up the edges, leaving a hole for my thumb. And this really took no time at all, and I really do like the purl stitches on either side. It really does make that cable pop. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll pop some other cable tutorials on the screen if you're interested in cables and have a love affair with them like I do. Happy knitting!